The writer Joan Didion once wrote, "We tell ourselves stories in order to live." She wrote that line not after one tragic event, but in the midst of ongoing pain without resolve. Chronic migraines, anxiety, the political chaos of the 1960s. The world she thought she had a grasp on was beginning to unravel. And she realized we build stories with clean endings that make sense, because without them, we have nothing to hold on to. So, what happens when the story you were telling yourself no longer works? When you can't see a clear ending? Those who celebrate Holy Week remembered Good Friday yesterday and will celebrate Easter tomorrow. But for today, let's pretend like we don't know how this story ends. Let's sit in the Saturday. The Gospels themselves say very little about Saturday. They mirror our own temptation to hurry to the end of the story, to move past the dark confusion after death and get to the good stuff of resurrection. Matthew, Mark, and John say nothing about it at all. Only Luke gives us a glimpse of what Saturday looked like for the disciples. And he says it in just one line, which is a stark contrast to the pages of details leading up to this moment and the pages of details following. He says, "On the Sabbath, they rested according to the commandment." That's it. The disciples don't understand what's happened to their friend, to their Messiah, to their lives. They thought he was going to be the one that was going to change everything. And so they left everything behind. And now nothing. Not only was Jesus killed, he was killed in the most humiliating way as a criminal at the hands of the very empire he was supposed to dismantle. Nothing about it feels triumphant. It feels anticlimactic. Then Sabbath. In the midst of the confusion, you imagine it might have felt like a relief to return to something familiar, a ritual day, a rhythm they knew how to keep. Their story had fallen apart, but the pattern of life hadn't. My mom found a caterpillar this past week and showed it to my 2-year-old son, Arthur, and he was mesmerized with the caterpillar as it crawled all over his arms and legs, and he insisted that we hold on to it. We weren't able to leave unless the caterpillar could come with us. So we put it into a little plastic container, poked holes in the top, put leaves and a strawberry inside, and we brought it to the playground. He pushed it down the slide and back and forth on the swing. And then the next day, he opened the container and the caterpillar was very still. And he picked it up, put it on the counter, and just started shouting, "Caterpillar, get up! Get up!" See, to him, if something is still, something must be wrong. And we don't outgrow this instinct as we age. We remember Good Friday, we celebrate Easter Sunday, and we skip over Saturday, the part where nothing seems to happen. But some of us aren't at Easter Sunday yet. Even tomorrow on Easter, some of us are living in Saturday, in the stillness, the lack of progress, the confusion, the disappointment. Maybe something has happened to turn our lives upside down, and we're unsure where we're supposed to go from here. And in moments like those, we would give anything to have some way to see the future and to know what choice to make, what's the next right move in order to get to the ending that we want. But that's not how life works. We don't always know the end of the story. But maybe the whole point of Easter is not to get to Easter Sunday, a story of something miraculous that happened one time long ago. Maybe Easter isn't telling us something that happened, but is revealing how life unfolds. Something ends, or something happens. Then there's a middle space where nothing makes sense and something changes. Not in the way we expected and not in the way we could have planned. In that middle space, we feel like God has gone silent. Or in the language of Easter, like God has died. Mystics call this the dark night of the soul, a space where what we thought we knew no longer holds, where the images that we've relied on begin to fall apart and we lose the plot of the story we're writing. In those moments, we're no longer sure what comes next or what's even true. James Blake is an artist who sits in this place of emotional exposure without jumping to resolution. And he recently put out a new album called Trying Times. And on the title track, he writes, "I'm breaking, I hide it well, because I can't afford to replace the shell. And the anxious end up alone, because there are far too many things we can't control. You're the life force I would die for, stay alive for, as we go through trying times." That's Saturday. So many things we can't control, can't see, and we're going through trying times, not around them, not skipping over them. And in the trying times, we reach for something right in front of us that keeps us going. Not because it explains everything or anything, but because it's what we have. Maybe that's what Sabbath was for the disciples in this moment. Something to return to when nothing else made sense anymore. Maybe for us, it looks like you show up for your life. You care for what's in front of you. You take the next small step. You don't force meaning, you just remain. Not because it fixes anything or because you understand what's happening, but because sometimes that's all there is. And not everything that is still is dead.